We're on top of it here right now. This could be a case of either get on this train now, Canada, or you're going to miss it. The very fact that Ms. Freeland, the Canadian foreign minister, interrupted a trip to Europe to hurry back once the United States and Mexico signed a trade accord, their own mini NAFTA, if you will, even though that one was called the United States-Mexico Trade Agreement, tells you all you need to know about the pressure Canada's under to get on board with this. Because remember, we offered them an alternative. Get on board with something like this deal, or we're just going to start putting tariffs on cars from your country. It was that blunt, it was that clear, and it was that consistent. And right now, it is that much of a worry for the Canadian foreign minister to come to the United States, try to cobble together something, presumably before this weekend, so they can meet a variety of various timelines here. But the end result is that Canada would like to get this done sooner rather than later, and sooner could be within the next 48 hours. To the Wall Street Journal, James Freeman, market watcher Heather Zumarraga. James, that was my quick impression, but I could be very wrong. What do you make of it?
Well, I might argue a little bit with your cheap suit theory of the negotiations here.
Or a bowl like a slightly more expensive suit.
Well, you know, clearly the Canadians are now under more pressure, but it's to do a deal. But it's not just from President Trump; it's from people in Canada. About 75% of their exports are bought by the United States. There are a lot of, as she mentioned, a lot of union workers in their auto industry who like these changes. And I guess I would say you're entirely correct about her being absent for a few months. But prior to those few months, some of the changes here were suggested and supported by Canada. So I think there's a lot of reasons for them to do a deal. And I think she's giving us quite a head fake if we're not going to get a deal here fairly soon.
Yeah, I suspect we will by the end of the week. I could be wrong, Heather, but if we do, and we do have sort of a makings of a new NAFTA deal, then the question becomes not so much what these two countries, Canada and Mexico, make of it, but whether it would pass muster and get passage in Congress in this country. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is very positive for the U.S. And ultimately, we have to remember the end. Congress has constitutional authority over to approve this trade deal or not. I think it's a positive for the markets as well. But I don't think Beijing will care. Yes, it's a good thing that we are renegotiating NAFTA with Mexico and Canada, and not just targeting a bilateral agreement with Mexico and Canada individually. But China, at the end of the day, I don't think Beijing will care, because they have to save face to their constituents, and if it's not in the best interest to agree to deal with the U.S., then I think we're going to have to push back even harder with China. I don't think this ultimately is going to be very easy.
Isolated, Heather. What I'll bring up with you, James, and that is, if you think about it, I don't know the details of this deal. I know your newspaper has criticized it, that it might be actually worse than the NAFTA it's replacing. Leaving that aside, yeah. I know if you think about it, the administration has cobbled together a deal with the South Koreans. It might be more of a vanilla type deal, but it's a deal. One that has talked more promises and goals with the Europeans than an actual hard agreement, but talks nonetheless that look very promising on that trade front. So you could argue, if you're China, you're the odd man, odd country out, and it might be compelled to do something. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the pressure will increase on China. And as you suggest, I'm not saying that this new NAFTA is wonderful. I think it's not as bad as it could have been, and some good things on intellectual property, but basically more costs, more sand in the gears for trade and for creating automobiles, among other products. But I think if you now have Canada and the United States and Mexico with a new deal, if you have Europe on its way to being resolved in its disputes with the Trump administration, I agree with Heather. The Chinese will operate on a different timeline because, after all, it's not a democracy. Unlike Canada and the U.S., they don't have elections within the next year, U.S. within months. But if it's the whole world against China, and the main gripe is intellectual property theft, which is real, which is not a cooked-up national security argument like we've seen with some of the Trump tariffs here in the U.S., I think it becomes very difficult over the long term for China to resist changing the terms of trade.
So I do agree there in terms of if we can all come together and work with our allies, the European Union and Japan and South Korea, Australia, and through the WTO, perhaps through the World Trade Organization, threaten to possibly expel China from the WTO. That may be a better approach than tariffs to getting at the heart of the issue, is addressing the theft of intellectual property and opening up opening up more free and fair markets to us here in the U.S. So I think if we approach it with our allies, I think we do stand a better shot if Mexico and Canada are going to help target a new China deal with us. That would be a great thing.
I want to bring up Phil Flynn into this argument. He follows the futures markets closely, markets in general. And one of the things that's always interesting, and it's a good way to, as a proxy on sentiment in the investment community, that never seemed to be worried that a trade war would actually ensue. That was my quick read of it, Phil. Convinced that maybe cooler heads prevail. Deals, they might not be great deals, but they're deals just the same, ultimately prevail, and things will be all right. That might be borne out today. It might be reflected in a lot of activity today. What do you think?
I agree. You know, we've seen that in the stock market for sure. We have seen a lot of turmoil and fear in a lot of the commodity markets, whether it be the grain markets or the oil markets at times, or the natural gas markets, which, of course, Mexico's a big importer of. Canada's a big player in energy. So we have seen that nervousness. But overall, what we're finding right now, you know, we talk about, well, we don't want to put on tariffs, but the only reason we've got Mexico to the table, the only reason Canada's back at the table, is because of the tough line by President Trump. You know, we can all talk about talking with our trade partners, get everybody together, you know, to say, China, you've been very, very bad, but nothing ever gets done. And I think what we're finding right now is that sometimes the United States does have to take the lead and say, hey, we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to put on tough tariffs, not so much because we like tariffs. We would rather forego tariffs altogether. But if everybody else is going to be using unfair trade practices, we've got to bring it to the table. Listen, I think the market overall is suggesting that President Trump is winning this trade war. We're seeing it in the stock market. But I also think he's winning it on Main Street, because I think the average American are starting to realize, hey, their job prospects are better. Things are getting, you know, their confidence is rising. And they do see hope that their jobs are going, unlike what it was a few years ago when all they saw were their jobs going overseas.